Yucca Flat, Nevada, May 19, 1953. At 5:05 a.m., one of a series of nuclear tests under the umbrella code named Upshot Not Hole is set off. Within seconds of the blast, a disc-shaped object is seen rapidly descending from the sky, headed south toward Las Vegas, then disappearing into the mountains. Just 2 days after this event, government officials secretly gather a team of scientists for a curious assignment. They went to investigate the crash of an unidentified flying object on the outskirts of Kingman, Arizona, a city 175 miles south of the nuclear test site.
There were 40 engineers that boarded a bus, and they took a long 3.5-hour ride from Phoenix to Kingman. When they got there, it was nighttime. There were MPs on all corners of the craft. It's about a 40-foot diameter disc-shaped craft that was perfectly intact. There wasn't a scratch on it. There were 4 beings associated with this craft, and they shipped it to Groom Lake.
Groom Lake is the Area 51 region in Nevada. When Area 51 was just bare bones, they took the craft and the aliens out to that location in the middle of the Nevada desert because it was so remote. And around that, they built Area 51.
Hidden within the mountains, deep in the Nevada desert, Area 51 is a top-secret military installation that has long been rumored to hold evidence of alien technology, and a special facility at Area 51 once held a survivor of the 1953 Kingman UFO crash. An alien entity known as J-Rod.
J-Rod is an alien who allegedly worked at Area 51. J-Rod was one of the crash survivors and worked directly with our own government.
Captain Bill Uhouse, a former Navy pilot who later worked for the U.S. Air Force performing experimental testing on aircraft, was assigned to Area 51 in the mid-1950s. And he claims that he not only studied the craft that crashed in Kingman, Arizona, but also had direct contact with J-Rod.
We had a long period of introduction into meeting, in the area. And I called him J-Rod. That's the name that the linguist gave him. And he would talk, but he'd sound just like, if you spoke, he'd sound like you. He's like one of these, a parrot. But he'd...
Or some say at a base nearby, kind of in the desert out there. And we've been working with them in underground labs, and they have been sharing information for us to enhance our technologies.
Area 51, it is just one of many secret government facilities connected to each other by a vast network of underground trains. Is it possible that the United States government has met and worked with entities like J-Rod and other alien visitors since at least the 1950s? According to UFO researchers, there's evidence that extraterrestrials have not only been held at secret military bases, but also met face with the President of the United States, inside the walls of the Pentagon.
The story of Valiant Thor comes from a gentleman by the name of Frank Stranges, who's a chaplain and apparently held a top-secret clearance. As the story goes, in 1957, a UFO landed in Virginia, very close to Washington, D.C. Police officers were called to the scene, and out stepped a human-looking gentleman who wanted to visit with then President Eisenhower. He was taken directly to the Pentagon and was able to arrange a meeting with President Eisenhower. In this meeting, he basically stated that he was very much concerned about our use of nuclear weapons.
Just as another country would post an ambassador to the United States, the theory was that Valiant Thor was the ambassador from the extraterrestrials, and he was, from time to time, advising President Eisenhower and the U.S.